Hi, welcome to Rank Harvest. So today we're going to talk about domain name changes and the impact it has on SEO. Now, domain name changes are one of the most dreaded and misunderstood topics in all of SEO. Sometimes they go right, sometimes they go wrong, but there is a correct way, according to Google's own guidelines, on how to do this. In this video, we're not going to go into great detail on the technical aspects of a domain name change. That could easily fill up several hours of footage. This is just an overview to help you understand kind of what you're up against and where to start. Domain name changes come in a variety of flavors. The easiest perhaps is when literally only the domain name is changing and nothing else is changing along with it. What I mean by that is the content is staying the same. The graphic design is staying the same. The path after the domain name to each individual page is staying the same. So literally, you're only replacing the domain name with a new domain name. Everything else stays the same. That's the easiest and most predictable way to do a domain name change. Now, one technical thing you have to be aware of is you do need to put a redirect or redirects in place so that when Google comes to crawl the old website, it is redirected to the new website. It needs to know not only that the home page has been redirected, but at the individual page level and even the individual image level, if you want to get really strict about it, you need to map that using a redirect to the same asset on the new website. The type of redirect you use is called a 301 redirect. That 301 is a code that lets Google know that that content has moved permanently to the new domain. The most difficult type of domain name change is when it's accompanied by, let's say, a rebranding or a redesign of the website and the content is changing. Let's say some content is going away. Some content is being added. Graphic design is being changed. Page layouts are being changed. So essentially, you're not only changing the domain name, but you're basically changing the domain name and the entire website along with it. That is the most difficult and unpredictable domain name change that you can really do. But there is still a best practices way of doing that, which is even if you can't map every asset on the old website to the new website, you can still do the best that you can. Let's say there's a page on the old website that just is not going to exist on the new website. Well, what you can do, even though you don't have an exact page to redirect the old page to the new page, what you can do is just find the next most relevant page and map it to that page. Or if there is no next relevant page, map the old page just simply to the home page of the new website. What's most important is when Google comes to crawl an old URL, and again, this can be images, pages, almost anything that is showing to the visitor and relevant to SEO. You never want Google to crawl a URL and come to an error page. Every single URL that's forward facing, we'll talk about that in a minute, on the old site needs to be redirected to a page on the new site. If you don't, Google's going to run across an error. And Google doesn't like error pages. The reason why is because it's a bad user experience. Google thinks if it's running into error pages, well, so might the visitors that it's sending to your website, and it doesn't like bad user experience. Sometimes even after you've done everything right, your rank still might drop. Now, it's typical that when you change domain names, there's going to be a brief drop in rank where Google sorts out what it's going to do about the change you just dropped at its feet. Now, a lot of times this drop in rank only lasts maybe a couple of weeks, and you find your website right back to where it was in Google. But sometimes you don't, and it can be very tricky to get through this. So we had a customer today going through this. They changed their domain name. They didn't change the website. This should have been a very easy domain name change, but their rank dropped. And they've yet to recover from it after 4 weeks. So you can see here on the right is the old domain. You can see that they were, let's just say, in position 10, which is the bottom of page 1, not a bad place to be, for a keyword that gets 187,000 monthly searches. Now, since they changed their domain name, and this is now the window on the left, same keyword, they're now in position 87, basically non-existent. And you can see there's others as well. Search volume of 35,000 a month. They're top of page 2. Here's another one, top of page 2. Here's one that has almost 10,000 monthly search visitors. Page 1, not bad. They've just never recovered that with the new domain. Now, this is tricky because they've done everything right. They don't really know what to do. Now, we're going to wait this out another week or two and see if Google keeps improving their keywords. It's likely that for whatever reason, there wasn't this quick 2-week turnaround for this website to get back up to where it was. It looks like it's taking longer. The good news is their keyword rank is slowly improving. So in this case, it's possible nothing really needs to be done other than waiting a little bit longer. So to summarize, domain name changes can be very unpredictable. Even if you do them right, even if you do them according to Google's guidelines, you're dropping a pretty big change on Google overnight. If your rank doesn't go right back up to where it was right away, the first thing to do is don't panic. It usually takes a few weeks, sometimes longer, especially the more competitive the industry you're in, the longer it's probably going to take. Now, if you've waited what feels like an ample amount of time and your keyword rank is still not where it should be, then it might be time to engage with an SEO professional. Make sure you did things right. It's possible that some of your 301 redirect mapping was off, or maybe something just wasn't done the way you thought it was going to be done. The good thing is a lot of that can be recovered from pretty late in the game. Google's pretty lenient about discovering that when you change domains, 6 weeks back, maybe you forgot to use 301 redirects for half your pages. Well, Google has a memory for that. If you do then put those 301 redirects in place, Google will see that and will generally recover your rank. So I hope you found this valuable. I know this is a very short discussion on changing domain names. We might do another video later on the technical intricacies of how to do this, but this is just meant to be a quick overview for you, and I hope you found it valuable.